No region or period in American history produced more legendary figures than the West. A selection of these extraordinary and memorable individuals will be presented over 2 episodes. Wild Bill Hickok was the real deal. A soldier during the Civil War, a scout, a lawman, gambler, and famous for many gunfights. In the mid-1800s, Wild Bill Hickok called Springfield, Missouri his home. He played a lot of poker with a local resident named Davies Tuck. An argument over Hickok owing Tuck $25 resulted in Bill giving him his prized possession, his watch, as collateral, on the condition he doesn't wear it until Bill pays him. The next day, Tuck was flashing it about town. On July 21st, 1865, the first known face-off gunfight occurred. Now a staple of every Western, they stood 75 yards apart. Tuck missed, Hickok didn't, and his legend got even bigger. Wild Bill was killed in Deadwood while playing poker and holding 2 pair, aces over 8s, known today as the Dead Man's Hand. Mary Jane Cannery, better known as Calamity Jane, was a true frontierswoman, was an explorer, an Army scout, a sharpshooter, a sometimes companion of Wild Bill's, and an alleged prostitute. This is definitely the best image without buckskin, hunting knife, guns, and other gear, disguising that there's actually a woman under it all. This is Calamity Jane, possibly dressed for a liaison with Bill. Her life was not easy. Prone to wild exaggeration, she arrived in Deadwood in 1866, and yes, she worked for Madame Dora Dufresne, who was a madam. But Wild Bill was the love of her life. After he was killed at a poker table, she frequently claimed to be Mrs. Wild Bill Hickok, but no proof of their marriage has ever been found. Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily, orphans preferred, wages $18 a week. This simple advertising is how the fabled Pony Express began in 1860. Here is a Pony Express rider changing horses at one of the 165 way stations along the 1,966-mile route from St. Joe, Missouri to Sacramento, California. The Pony Express operated with 180 riders and 500 horses. The average rider was under 20 years of age and weighed less than 125 pounds. Among the early riders was the young Buffalo Bill Cody. The objective was to connect the East Coast with California, reducing previous delivery time in half. The ambitious experiment lasted only 19 months. Its record time was 7 days and 17 hours when it delivered Abraham Lincoln's first inaugural address to California. It's hard to believe that any commercial endeavor that only lasts 19 months could generate such instant recognition as the Pony Express. After such a short period, it was replaced by the telegraph. This multi-image view emphasizes the action, full gallop, escaping his pursuers, and the entire piece is balanced on one leg. It is tempting to ask, how dangerous was it? Records show 4 died by Indians, 2 froze to death, and 1 got drunk, killed a man, was arrested, and hanged. Legends arose on both sides. None more cunning and ferocious than Geronimo, seen here at his surrender to the U.S. Army forces. In 1886, the great Chiricahua Apache war leader Geronimo surrendered after a lengthy effort to capture him, led by General George Crook. A total of 37 Apaches surrendered, 18 men, 13 women, and 6 children. They had been chased by 5,000 U.S. soldiers, virtually 1/4 of the country's standing army, 3,000 Mexican troops, and 1,000 civilian volunteers who were anxious for a piece of the reward money, 9,000 in all. He surrendered upon hearing the government's threat to remove all remaining Apaches at the San Carlos Reservation if he didn't surrender. Geronimo did surrender, and they were moved anyway. This is an image of several Apache taking a break from the long train ride east on September 4th, 1886. This was the beginning of 26 years of imprisonment of the remnants of the Apache. As a marauding, fighting force, the Apache were feared even among other Indian tribes. The Apache were skilled, tough, cunning, and brutal. Perhaps Geronimo's wife and children being slaughtered by Mexican troops contributed to his unyielding and unforgiving leadership. Wyatt Earp, second from the right, is seen here with Doc Holliday and his brothers, Virgil and Morgan. Probably the most famous lawman of the West and portrayed in scores of Hollywood movies. The gunfight at the OK Corral lasted approximately 30 seconds. 3 bad guys were killed, Tom and Frank McLaury and Billy Clanton. Also, it occurred at the intersection of 3rd and Fremont, several blocks away from the fabled OK Corral. Doc Holliday appears in any tale, including the Earps. He was a friend of Wyatt's. His ailing lungs are well known and probably not helped much by the cigar he appears to be smoking. Bass Reeves, a name we should know, but we don't. Born a slave, very hard early life, was asked to become Deputy U.S. Marshal in the Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. Incorruptible and dedicated. During his 3 decades, he made over 3,000 arrests, and as one observer noted, only killed 14 people. At 6'2", well over 200 pounds, and a crack shot with a pistol and rifle, he was feared by any lawbreaker. His integrity went so far as to arrest his son for murder and his minister for stealing. Consider this. When he wasn't working alone, he worked with a local Indian. He rode a white horse, and he frequently used disguises to get closer to his target. Some observers believe Bass Reeves was the inspiration for the Lone Ranger and Tonto. It's not often a real person emerges as the symbol of a whole race or time. This is an extraordinary photo of a Southern Cheyenne Chief Wolf Robe. The making of a symbol began in 1898 when a well-respected photographer of the West, Frank Reinhardt, took a series of iconic photos of Wolf Robe. They were reproduced and sold throughout the East. This became the popular image of an Indian chief, considered by the public as the perfect look. This is a painting of Wolf Robe by John Hauser. The medallion around his neck is the Benjamin Harris Peace Medal given to him for his participation in the Cherokee Commission. Hauser painted several other chiefs, Sitting Bull and Red Cloud among them. But no one else achieved what historians believe Wolf Robe is the figure represented on the Indian head nickel. Now that's a symbol. Episode 16 is the second half of Legends of the West. These are the figures that give the American West its enduring fascination to this very day.